Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Huge episode today.
Big day.
A, baseball's back. B, Mookie Betts is on the podcast today.
Hey-ho.
C, Dallas Braden is debuting a brand new look today.
I don't know if it's necessarily a debut. It's maybe a revisit.
And Dallas, I'd love to join you in debuting a brand new look today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
As it is.
What an asshole.
Listen.
Who wears a fedora and glasses inside?
I do now.
Oh. Big Mookie guy.
Full circle. Yeah, full circle.
Big Mookie guy.
What do you mean? This is cool.
Absolutely. You should start a podcast, bro.
I got one. It's called Baseball is Dead. New episodes once the season starts Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, man. You know what this is? This is kind of like Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo's the guy who took Greg Maddox's daughter to prom. So now all of a sudden he thinks he can pitch. Like you do an interview with Mookie, and now you think fedora and glasses indoors are right up your alley. Is that?
Well, it just feels me now. Just feels me.
I'm sort of getting like a modern day, well-trimmed John Lennon in New Mexico vibe.
Oh,
here, like,
in New Mexico.
Yeah. Very specific.
Oh.
or a character in Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah. That's the better call.
It's
You
definitely
like a bad.
It's definitely not easy to pull off with the headphones, but
No, it's a
You
good
like
look.
a bad created character in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mortal Kombat.
I think
you're
great.
like Temu Raiden.
Yeah. Well,
New leaf.
it's a new era, brother.
You're like a woke Charlie Daniels.
These are getting better. We should keep going.
Sweet
Yeah.
fucking rhinestone hoodie. What do you?
How is Dallas not the one getting laughed at?
What's funny? What you got something to fucking talk about? What's funny?
I don't have any. I think you look great.
Of course I look great. It's
Yeah.
a day that ends in Y.
Yeah, I think you look very good.
I look great every day.
Might be time to shutter the Discord channel, the Discord sub channel of Dallas Braden's new haircut, though.
No, I mean, this probably landed on somebody, right? Somebody had this.
Jay, hey, I know you don't know who this is, but I need you to Google Tommaso Ciampa.
Is that
Look at him.
dude you sent me?
Yeah, it's literally you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's Dallas Braden.
is... Yes.
Yep.
I mean, that just is him.
Yes. Yep.
And I feel like, you know what? He's leading the way. Who am I?
Mm.
Who
Yeah,
am
this
I?
guy's a little more cut than Dallas, obviously. But,
Well,
like a little bulkier, a little beefier.
Yeah, Dallas started to get a little fluffy once baby number 3 showed up.
yeah. Well, don't bring me into your fat shaming circle.
I'm not fat anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I tell you, those sweet little specs you're wearing do a lot for you as far.
Thinning out.
Oh man. You like if somebody from the movie Natural Born Killers decided to open up a coffee shop too.
Now you're the one that's hating on the look, Dallas. That's a bad look for you.
No, I mean, look, I knew you were excited about today for good reason.
Yep.
You know, you are now lock in step with one of your all-time favorites, and I'm happy that we've finally gotten to this point.
You know what pisses me off the most about the Mookie Betts stuff is when he was in Boston, I was just unmercifully banging on the drum of he's better than Mike Trout. And then the second he gets to LA, I was being accused of Red Sox bias. And the second he gets to LA, that's when everyone puts him above Mike Trout.
Well, that had a lot to do with
Mike Trout not playing.
Yeah.
Well, in 2018, he was better than Mike Trout.
Well, didn't he win the MVP that season?
Yes.
All right, then.
So I was right.
Well,
Who are you arguing? Are you arguing with ghosts? Who are these people?
Well, that's what happens when fucking Timu John Lennon takes too much ayahuasca and decides to throw on a fucking lid and rhinestone hoodie and starts thinking crazy shit, Jay.
I think I have to say, as it relates to the Mookie Betts interview, I think the end of that interview was one of the greatest plot twists of all time. And maybe one of the great healing moments I've ever seen in spring training history.
Yeah.
Certainly baseball is dead history, but I'm talking about the entirety of spring training history. For all people. I'm very excited for people to listen to that interview.
Yeah, it's a good one. And changed my life.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure. It has.
As
you are definitely looking at the world through different lenses, shall we say.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like this look has slowed Jarrett's response time down by like a half a second. Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, there's a level of dysfunctionality that comes with.
It's not quite a natural look for him yet.
You'll get used to it.
It's a little stiff over there.
You'll get used to it. I know it's not what you've you're just not used to seeing me in hats in general. That's what it is.
Yeah. I had no idea that Leonard Skinner had a missing member of the band. Fucking here he is. Oh man.
Yeah, when I tell you that I purchased these glasses and this hat immediately after the interview was over, like it was immediate.
I mean, I'm gonna need to see a rotation of these things.
Yeah, I can do that.
This can't just be default mode. I need some spice now. I'm gonna need some flavor. I don't need you to go all Cam Newton and throw in a fucking like Elmer Fudd hat on with an arrow through it. We don't need to go there.
No. But this is just who I am now, Dallas.
All right.
I guess you could say I've seen the light. People change.
Clearly,
people
trying to block it out.
Opinions change. You know, opinions. Life is fluid, brother.
Hey, they don't call me H2O for nothing, dog. I'm with you.
Life is a fluid thing. You know, one second you can believe one thing and be one guy. The next second, your beliefs change. Your identity can change. All of it.
As my man Johnny Dosco likes to say, you're just a twig in a stream, bro. You're just going.
That's all it
flow.
is. That's all it is, brother. That's all it is.
It's cool to welcome in the star of the 1993 film Tombstone.
Oh no! Is this the French cousin of Doc Holliday? Is this Jacques Holliday? Glad you made it in.
Laugh it up.
Forgive me if I don't shake hands. The fucking missing member of the Ike Clanton gang. Spike Clanton.
You're fucking bald, dude. What are you talking about?
That's I lost hair and somehow came out better than this. Better than you on this. I don't know how that happened.
I think these two, kind of altered looks are going to be huge hits for the pod. You guys should both stick with them. Yeah.
I was going to say, people are going to be looking at their screen like, are we on the right fucking channel here? What's going on?
Who brought Tommaso Chapasso on?
Jake, do you like the hat?
I mean, anybody who's anybody wears a fedora with sunglasses inside. So
correct.
Just about time we came around.
Yep. Not my fault. Dallas is uncultured. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know if it's your MVP look, but it's an MVP look.
Are you saying I'm not pulling it off?
I'm not saying that at all.
I wouldn't
Like a
even
jock
approach
strap,
such a
I'm here to
statement.
support.
Feels like you think I'm not pulling it off.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm huge fan,
Well, I'm a huge fan of Underdog.
as you should be.
Me too.
As we all are.
Yep. Because MLB season is here, and Underdog wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball, or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Going higher on Shohei Ohtani, 1.5 total bases this morning was the easiest.
Book it.
That was just, he did that in 1 AB, but in total, yes. Super easy this morning. Nice little pick-me-up. Waking up to
Just
Shohei Ohtani making me some coin.
Just a good way to get the day started. A great way to get the season started with Underdog Fantasy.
Yeah. Day one.
Just hand you a
Check.
dub.
Day one, we're in the green, brother.
Love
We're
it.
in the green, Dal.
That's what we do.
Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. I feel like the time for talking is done. I feel like we've got to get to this Mookie Betts interview. No,
Drop it on the folks. They've been waiting for this. Come on.
They've been
We
waiting
can't
for
tease
this.
them any longer.
no, we can't. So without further ado, the baseball is dead debut of Mookie Betts. I'm here with fellow baseball podcaster Marcus Lynn Betts. You know him as Mookie Betts. Congratulations on another World Series title.
Thank you, sir.
So that's where I want to start because I know you love all sports. So when you're looking at your trophy case, you've got the MVP, you've got the 3 rings. I feel like when in baseball, if you start talking about championships, everyone looks to Jeter and how many rings he has.
Right.
Are you looking at it right now with all your teammates? Like, I could catch Brady. Like, are you looking outside of baseball with like the ring total?
Yeah, I'm trying to. You know, I think those are names that are like, you know, go across the board. Bill Russell, you know, having 10 rings and all type of things. Those are legacy cementers. You know, I think championships and obviously personal accolades are really cool and neat, and that's one part of the of something that we enjoy waking up every day to do. But I think the rings is one thing that, I mean, you can't really argue it. You know, he's got 4 rings. Like there's nothing, or 3, 4, however many it is, right? There's nothing you can argue it, and so I try and I just stay focused on that.
So what's the goal? Is it just like as many as I can?
As many as I can. I mean, and you know, the front office brought in a lot of help, obviously, which goes a long way. It shows being a Dodger. That's one reason I love being a Dodger, just because we compete every year, and you know, I don't think there is a real end in sight. I mean, you try and play as long as try and win as long as you can play.
I was talking to Doc earlier, and I brought up I forget what award show it was, but when you were up there and we were like, if you want to win, you got to play for us and all that.
Awards, yeah.
So, like, I mean, I got to know you a little bit in Boston, and like the confidence has just skyrocketed year over year. How much of that is because of personal success? How much of that is because of team success? Where does the increase in confidence come from?
I would say a combination of both. You know, I remember when I was coming up in Boston, I was always the quiet kid, very confident in myself, but didn't want to show confidence because that wasn't being humble.
Yep.
You know, you don't want to be cocky, and that's not me. That's never been me, never will it be me. But also, as I've gotten a little older, there is a balance of confidence which brings yourself up. You know, it's like an internal confidence that sometimes I got to be confident and say it, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to speak it into existence, and hiding from the confidence when I was younger, I felt like was giving me some type of insecurity.
Sure.
And you know, it's also good. It's kind of what drove me to be who I am now. But now that I'm a little older, I feel like confidence I don't need that insecurity. I just need confidence, and everything will be all right.
How do you feel about MLB as a league kind of propping you up? Is like, we all know that you're a star baseball player, but the personality, because seeing it in Boston, it was almost like, my read on it was the Boston market didn't allow you to be who you are. It's almost like you had to fall in line. You had to just, be quiet and do your job.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like being in LA, it's like, no, like you can have a podcast and you're not going to get shredded for doing it. So yeah, how does that make you feel?
I mean, in Boston, I was in a different place in life. I didn't have kids. I was this young kid coming up. I had Big Papi, Pedroia, Mike Napoli, Johnny Gomes. I mean, name all the guys that had been there and done that. And that was kind of the way of Boston. Like, right, you keep your head down, you stay focused, and you take care of your job, right? And I'm very, 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 very thankful for that, because that taught me to work and taught me how to keep my head down and stay focused on the task at hand. But also, as I've gotten older and now I have more years behind me than I have in front of me, you have to set up the next part of life.
Sure.
And you can't wait until the end to do it, because somebody is already doing it. It's too late. And so for me, I feel like God has blessed me with the ability to be able to do both, have a podcast, be an entrepreneur, have a production company, do things, and be able to play baseball. And I feel like at the time and when I was in Boston, I wasn't ready to do that. But also, maybe you're probably right. The market of Boston may not allow that, especially you go out. Man, I have a podcast that day, and I go out and go 0 for 4.
People are crushing you for it.
I'm getting crushed. And
Sports
it's like,
radio, that's the lead topic.
the game had nothing to do with this podcast.
Sure.
It had absolutely nothing to do with the podcast. The game is the game, and the podcast is the podcast. And but that's a part of sports that people are going to have opinions on, and you just got to live your life at that point.
Last question for me, in regards to the podcast. I know you've had a lot of current, former teammates on. What type of personalities are you looking to talk? Like, who do you most enjoy to interview? Is it guys that you have lots of memories with and you like to go down memory lane, or is it guys that I'm trying to unlock something? I know of this guy, but I don't know this guy. I want to find out what's inside there.
You know what? I genuinely love podcasting people I have no clue who they are. Like, I may know the name, seen them come up or whatever, seen them on the other side, but the less information about them, the better for me, because I really do enjoy having a mic, sitting and get to know somebody. You never know where their background is, what you have in common with them, what you don't have in common with them, what they do. Somebody may snowboard. Like, I know nothing about snowboarding, but I'd like to know about it.
Sure.
So I ask them a bunch of questions about it, And so as I've gotten older, I've been able to tap into that part of my brain and hopefully set up the next life.
Attaboy. All right, congrats on number 3. Go get number 4.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for all you do too, by the way, man. I know a lot goes on, and your job is really hard, and having the mic, I understand it. And so I've always been a fan of yours, even when I was there. So
yeah, man, we still got to talk sneakers.
Yeah, we will. I don't have
like
sneakers
6
on
years
right
in
now,
between.
but we'll get to talk some more, brother.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, big thanks to my buddy, my inspiration.
Interview so good it blew your fucking lid off. How about that?
Well, like I said, it's hard to have headphones on at the same time as a fedora. But I'll keep the glasses on for Mookie, no doubt. But now I look like LA Knight, I've noticed.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, lose the lid. That's got LA Knight written all over it.
Jay, hey, Google LA Knight. Tell me if I'm not wrong here. You got to find a picture of him wearing the glasses.
I see it. You're right again. Nailed it.
Usually am. The only time that I think I've ever been wrong, truly, is when I tried to make the case that sunglasses inside and fedoras was not a good look.
Yeah, that's your only misstep, I think.
That's my only misstep, but I corrected it. So now I'm right again. That's 3 for 3.
Yeah, I had a running doc, and that was the only thing listed in it. But now it's X'd out because you fixed it.
Right again. Right again. I am.
How's he doing?
Kind of
crazy. We do have to pivot to some sad news. Some sad news in the world of baseball is dead. Young Joseph, he's gone.
Here you go.
Off into the sunset he goes. In the most perfect Joe way that he could go. Like, didn't even have like a farewell episode. Just one day he was there, the next day he was gone. I'm not going to ruin any of his surprises, but he has some projects that he would like to focus on. And I mean, I think we kind of saw it coming when, what was it, last year? He went from 3 episodes a week to just 1. He was just on like the Mondays. So he was taking a step back. It was gradual. And now he is completely riding off into the sunset to work on his own projects. He's got new stuff coming out. So he's got his YouTube channel, he's got his TikToks, but I think he's got some new stuff coming out that he wanted to dedicate his time to. But for Joe, I will always be thankful to him for the time that he committed to the pod and for helping to kind of shake the starting 9 off of Baseball is Dead. I think he was very instrumental in the tone change that we wanted for Baseball is Dead as we transitioned away from starting 9, where it was, it was more lighthearted. It was more fun. There was more laughing. There was more making fun of each other, things of that nature. There was more looseness to it. And he was a very big piece of that. So to Joe, best of luck in your future endeavors. I'm sure the listening audience is going to miss you very much. But I'm excited to see what he comes out with next.
Yeah, it'll be fun, I'm sure. As it always is. Joe has got that just that fucking weirdo baseball brain that we all love. So I think you said everything that needs to be said. We wish him very well. It was great having him. And obviously, if you're ever at a ballpark and you see Joe, please go say hi. There's a solid chance he's not going to do the same because he doesn't know who the fuck you are. But
Right.
You know who Joe is behind one of the best baseball accounts on YouTube. So as much as we love him, we wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah. Jay, it's going to look super sus if you don't say something nice about Joe.
I
gotta-
have
People are going to be like, he left the show
he
because of
doesn't
Jay.
like him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jay Hay doing backflips.
As far as I'm concerned, Joe and I got along fine. So just for the record, now that I don't think there was anything there, but I would say that genuinely, obviously I wish him the best, but specifically, I wish I had a little bit more of what Joe has when I was younger, which was a willingness to put yourself out there and a willingness to like kind of just believe in your own project. And he has obviously done that. Proof is in the pudding with the channel, but that he's kind of doubling or tripling down with, a new layer of projects, I think is admirable. And I wish him nothing but the best on that. And, some of the funniest moments since I rejoined have been with Joe on the pod, whether that was during the 3-day-a-week era or the 1-day-a-week. And, most recently when he was hacking into the mic and Dallas and I completely lost control of our composure, or knuckleball.com during the live pod from Arizona. So no shortage of those type of things. And, it's put me in tears multiple times. So I will definitely miss him on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad. Or just when he would get stuck on words and just like short circuit.
Yeah. Words, player names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just general shit.
We won't have as much of that anymore, but Profar will always be known as Jurgensen, presumably moving forward on Baseball is Dead. So if that's your legacy, that's pretty good.
There's only
That's
room
pretty
for
good.
one dude who can't read or speak on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hiring anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's any people with speech difficulties that want to join the pod, we have an opening. Well, baseball season began this morning. It's always weird to me, I guess, when MLB kind of does shit like this, when they like start the season, but then you have to go back to spring training for like a week. So it's like, there's real games happening. Like there's like division implications occurred today on planet Earth, but there's like a week and change before that happens to us.
I love it.
What, the early start?
Yeah, I love the idea that I have to set my alarm or at least be up early-ish and prepared to enjoy the start of the baseball season. It's a fun one-off. It's its own event. And then I get to enjoy a totally separate event, which is the regular opening day for all the other teams with all the other pageantry. And I don't think that the Dodgers and Cubs played 2 games, X number of days before takes away from the pageantry of opening day for the 28 other teams, or 26, or how many ever are actually opening up that day. In any way, it doesn't take away any of it for me. I don't think.
No, I completely agree with you, Jay Hay. These are, in my opinion, like these types of events are essential for the growth of our game,
No question.
especially when you're talking about growing it internationally. And I mean, this was on a platter. Was this series not on an absolute?
Jared hates these takes.
I hate these takes so much. Like,
What, you're an idiot. Let me give you this
no, you're an
perspective.
idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You
Let
look
me-
like
let
an
me
idiot.
tell you this.
You
I
look like
played
an
these
idiot, and you
games.
are an idiot. It matches.
I
It lines
played
up.
these games. I played these games. I did this. I've done this where you go over there, you play two
I've
games
watched these
that don't
games.
count. You play 2 games that don't count, and then you play 2 more games that do count. And then you shut it down and you like go back to spring training and play games that don't count again.
You know what
And
this
that's
is
not
like,
gonna
Dallas?
happen.
This is like if your significant other is giving you a beej, and then she's like, "Hold on, I got to take this call," and she just leaves the room, and you just got to sit there for just hours, and then she comes back, and you're like,
Hours?
Well,
Jesus,
hours.
what's she talking about?
Right, hours, and then she comes back, and you're just like,
Christ.
this. It's
Oh, buddy,
it's
there's
been
a solid
hours.
There's
you know?
a solid chance I'm already playing PlayStation. I'm doing something else. Trust me.
Right, that's
I've
my
crossed
point.
the finish
That
line.
is his. Yeah,
That's
that is
my
his
point.
But
That's my point. Thank you.
No. The idea is that you're excited about, like for me, myself, for instance.
I was
I
excited
knew-
for the beach, but then the fucking 4-hour phone call happened.
Yeah,
now I'm playing PlayStation.
No.
Now
It
I'm not
was-
focused anymore.
Yes, you are. You are absolutely going to be. You
I don't know what
specifically
my
are
point is.
focused.
I'm just saying I don't like the wait.
Yeah, the wait is fine. That's fine. But this is something that gets you excited about. Like I was coming home.
It takes me
I
out of the
knew-
zone.
I knew my schedule was such where I was going to have to, like, I was like, fuck, I'm getting home at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to have legitimately like minimal time to take a nap if I want so I can get up and be ready to watch this game. And that's exactly what I did. Got up, made coffee, watched the game. I was pumped for it.
it was absolutely. It was appointment television, and I look at it. People say I'm a glass half empty guy. I'm very much a full guy on this pod or on this perspective because, like, to me, I'm looking at it as 2 events that otherwise wouldn't have been there for me to enjoy. Like, if I understand the like getting excited for the regular season and having to like rev down a little bit for 7 days or whatever it is, but like I'm also looking at it as if these didn't exist, I would still be waiting until the 27th for Major League Baseball that counted. And I think these games as, kind of 1-off, 2-off events are special. And it in terms of marketing the sport, I realize the start time is a little problematic for the United States. But it's still an incredible marketing event overall globally for the stars of the sport. Like, think about the quantity of high level star players, even with, Mookie sick and Freeman
Freddie,
being
yep.
a late scratch with the sore rib or whatever. Think about the star power internationally that was on display in this game. And it takes like a half dozen names before you're naming Kyle Tucker, who's an NL MVP candidate. You know what I mean? And like,
Jay, to your point, like this is almost, you can almost view this as an event that really isn't meant for the United States fan base.
Sure.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's
doubt.
a reason we've packed things up and headed across the pond. And that's because the effort to grow this game is not happening right here, right now. Our day that we always clamor to turn into a national holiday is coming. But this is the day for the sport. And this is the day to reach folks who are not constantly accommodated with timing and their superstars playing each other. And this is now a country that has been extremely pivotal in the growth of our game. And this is a way that the sport and what we're doing over here can not only acknowledge the importance and the impact of the Nippon League, but it can also acknowledge the fans who have made the Nippon League as sustainable as it is to the point where they have absolutely closed the gap in talent, right? Years ago, when I was in the big leagues, Jared, we looked at the Nippon League as like a really competitive AA, maybe a, AAA sort of environment. And now it's, tit for tat. You can go get arms that are competitive. You can go get hitters that are competitive. And that all comes from the impact, not only of the fans, but of the talent. So for baseball to be able to give the sport this opportunity to grow in this fashion, I understand like how we talk shit about, well, fuck, man, I want to get it going. You're going to pump the gas and now you're tasking me to pump the brake. Like, that's not fun. But if we zoom out, I think we can all find a level of appreciation for what waking up at fucking 3 a.m. to watch these two teams actually means.
No, I like that shit. I like that shit. I like how special it is. I like how special it is, Dallas. But the thing that I don't like is the wait in between. I don't like the 4-hour phone call. I'm not saying I don't like the beach. I'm saying I don't like the phone call. That's what I don't like, Dallas. No one's talking about having to wake up early and wah. Oh, I have to make my own coffee this morning. I don't have time to go to Starbucks. Ain't nobody talking about that. No one's talking about that. I don't care about waking up early. As a father of two, Dallas, you're telling me. Let me tell you a little story. Let me tell you a little story, Dallas. About
who is this? Who the fuck am I talking to?
Let me tell you a story about Florida. So we're in Florida. We're trying to figure out the commute to Bradenton from Cape Coral. That's what we're trying to figure out. And the boys are like, well, do we go the night before and get a hotel, or do we wake up super early and drive over? And they're talking super early. They're like, but we'd have to wake up at 5. And then there's a big kerfluffle about how early they have to wake up. And then a gentleman says to me, you don't seem as upset about this. And I said, waking up at 5, brother, I'm a father of 2. Why do you think waking up at 5 is a problem for me? No. So you want to have me wake up early in the morning for the first game of the Major League Baseball season? I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to be there. What I don't like is the wait in between. You want to tell me opening day is one day, then I got to wait 7-8 days for my team to play their first game? That's what I don't like, Dallas. That's all it is.
When did we get the Southern twang?
I have no idea what this is. It promise you,
since the beginning of the pod. Like, it didn't start.
This is 13 different personalities vying for the fucking front right now. That's what this is. Give me the mic.
Is it one of those movies where you put on the fedora or something and it changes who you are or something like that?
That's exactly what has happened right now. I don't know if these
I've never seen someone
legal.
Put on a fedora and just change who they are. I've never seen that.
So dark. I know exactly. I hope everybody else understands what you're doing. Oh, you are a fucking, what a weirdo. What an absolute weirdo.
Do you get my point though?
I get your point. I can appreciate your point.
Yeah. But I hope it landed with you, Dallas. That's all.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Jake, you excited for open day? Probably not, because it's like a month from now, you know?
Yeah, I would be if I just didn't have to wait this long.
Yeah. Oh man, that wait.
You two are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure baseball fans everywhere, aside from you two, were extremely excited.
No, I was excited. But then the game ended, and I realized that I had to wait so long for my team.
Well, speaking of the game, are we surprised at how the game turned out? Because what we saw was two dudes start the game, battled. Imanaga obviously didn't get through 5 innings. He got 4 under his belt. But it was Yamamoto who does get through 5. Both guys splits on display. I know Jay tweeted out a bunch of stuff regarding the numbers on the split and the success of the split, how dominant the split has been for both of those guys. And again, that was on display. I think what's interesting too, when you watch those two dudes, is the way that they're able to pitch with that, and you can see them. I mean, there was a couple that Imanaga left up, and even Yamamoto, I think, left one or two up. But outside of that, I mean, everything is middle shelf to the lower rail, and it's fucking devastating. They can throw it to both sides of the plate. It's just a really impressive attack plan from these guys. Yamamoto was blowing 98, 99, I think, in his last inning. And I think the way that things worked out, like for the game, just talking about the Dodgers side first, like you get through 5 innings with Yamamoto in really impressive fashion. I mean, the Cubs' last hit, I'll remind you, was in the fucking 3rd inning, I believe. It was an infield hit from Ian Happ. Like, that's when the offense for the Cubs stopped, was the 3rd inning. So Cubs fans, you got your kicks in early with Dansby. After that, it was just silent mode. But then the bullpen, just I think a really like a great display early of what happens when this Dodger team gets what they're looking for out of their rotation. They're not asking for a ton. They got 5 from Yamamoto. And then what do? You roll out the unhittable fucking bullpen. And that's exactly what happened, right? Banda comes in. They line him up. He gets 2 out of the 3 left-handers that he needs to face. Then you turn it over to Kasparius, shout out friend of the pod. He does his work, gets 2 of the 3 righties out of the 3 hitters that he faced. And then it's fucking, what, who came in? Trinan? Did Trinan come in?
Trinan came in after, yeah.
Yeah, Trinan came in throwing his fucking wiffle balls, his unhittable shit. And then you hand it
Tanner Scott
back over to Scott, the left-hander who you got to go get.
Yeah.
Who's leading off the inning? The Cubs guy, right? Kyle Tucker. Okay, cool. Here's Tanner Scott. Thanks for coming. And now he takes care of business. Like, this is the blueprint for what the Dodgers are looking to do. They beat a team without 2 of their 3 MVPs in the lineup. They've got the tip of the spear on the mound, or one of the tips of the spears. Like, this is what the Dodgers were expecting. This is how they planned it out. And it just feels like, for better or worse, this is kind of how it's going to go for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And this is game 1.
Yeah, it's a boring answer, but to Jared's initial question, like, I would say that literally the only surprising thing that happened in the game was Imanaga's
early
lack
departure,
of command, or the 4 walks.
Yeah.
Like, that's just very atypical for him. And otherwise, it was basically by the script. You know, the Dallas laid out the Dodgers bullpen, but it's exactly what we saw out of the bullpen the last time that we saw it participate in a game. I mean, they threw 4 innings and had 5 strikeouts and allowed no hits and no walks.
You could see.
Well, then that's going to be hard. You know, like,
yeah. I was just gonna say, you could see how Imanaga early, especially against Shohei, throwing the absolute piss out of the baseball in that first at bat. Like, you could tell. I like, if you went and lined up his mechanics, I think from that first at bat to maybe the last inning, they would be a little more fluid that last inning, just because that first at bat. Like, could you imagine that, dude? You're Imanaga. You're back home facing Shohei. Like, this is first game of the season. Like, the fucking juice rolling through that dude at the moment. My God.
It's a lot.
Well, and, you know, shout out to maybe this is juice. Maybe this is, you know, his second season in the big leagues, but shout out to the Underdog MLB account, who was the first one on this, at least that I saw publicly. But Yamamoto's splitter plus 2.2 miles per hour over what it averaged during the 24 season. It was at 90.2 miles per hour last season. It clocked in at 92.4 in his first start this year. So, like, you know, I mean, I'm sure Slab Lab will get a hold of Yamamoto at some point if his splitter is 2 miles an hour faster, and we can break that all down there. But, like, that's obviously a pretty significant first start difference above and beyond the general effectiveness of the splitter continuing from the season in 24. So, yeah, I mean, it was just kind of to script in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Cole Reagan's on the new Slab Lab, by the way.
Cole Reagan's the last team.
Yeah. A lot of Cy Young votes have appeared in the Slab Lab so far. You got Scooble, who's a unanimous winner. You got Beebs, who's a unanimous winner. You've got Reagans, who I believe finished 4th last year.
finished 4th and is, I believe, slated comfortably within the top 5 this year in a lot of projections. Not to release any spoilers, but I mean, I posted a couple pictures. Logan Webb will also be joined the Slab Lab, perennial Cy Young contender. Zach Gallen,
some guy named Paul Skenes, I think.
Paul
sat
Skenes,
down
ever
with
heard
you?
of him?
Yeah.
So lots of folks that'll either already have accumulated the hardware or will be building a shelf for said hardware.
Well, and it sets us up in good position to, like, you know, kind of attach the Slab Lab bump to an eventual award winner too, because we got, as you said, a lot of Cy Young candidates, a lot of people who, you know, they could credit their win to Slab Lab.
Yeah,
Facts.
I'm actually, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to attach a Blue Moon to my left hand right now.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Because Blue Moon was born in a ballpark, as you guys know, at the Sandlot Brewery in Denver, Colorado. It's no wonder why you crave it. Its bold flavor, bright explosion of color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantees a one-of-a-kind beer experience year-round. And for moments that you want a lighter option of your favorite beer, reach for Blue Moon Light. It's a refreshing wheat beer brewed with real tangerine peel for a lighter, exceptional taste at only 95 calories. And Dallas, I know you're someone that's watching your calories these days. You know, the Blue Moon Light, it's refreshing. You can drink it guilt-free, knowing it's only 95 calories, especially once the summer rolls around. It's really kind of nice weather where you're at all the time. But is there a better option than Blue Moon Light after a nice long game in the booth and you need to wet that whistle?
Buddy, I tell you right now, I could have put a Blue Moon outside. It's sub 50 right now. A Blue Moon in one hand, a Blue Moon Light in the other, because I am watching the caloric intake. I'll play for the tie. I don't give a damn.
I love that. Inspired by the beer you already love and available year-round, a wheat beer from Blue Moon with exceptional taste and only 95 calories, brewed brightly with real tangerine peel, tastes light and refreshing. Nothing compares to the great taste of a Blue Moon Light. Blue Moon made brighter. Get Blue Moon Light delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared to see your delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Blue Moon made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Well then, what was the other story? Oh, Joey Gallo. Gallo is switching to pitching now.
Yeah.
People are being mean to why are people being mean to Joey Gallo? People, like, you know, if a guy wants it, they're just
what
like,
are they hating on?
Just the fact that I don't know. I feel like he had an interesting career as a position player, you know.
For sure.
A low batting average, great OBP, great slug, you know, a guy that could hit 117 but still have, you know, a damn near 800 OPS. Like, that's a skill. A guy that had, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, a season with more home runs than singles?
Oh, yes, that's true.
Look, I mean, put it like this. This is, look, these are facts. I'm not being an asshole when I say this. He did not hit his weight. Like, career-wise, he did not hit his weight. But one of the most exciting at-bats, because you know you're either going to see a dude like get his doors blown, or you're going to see him hit it 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of people that might not excite you, but if you have these niche players, and I think Joey Gallo, like the poster child for the true 3 outcome, that was him. But now, I mean, let's not forget, right? You can't slight the dude, because let's remember, this man's a 2-time Gold Glover, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
2-time Gold Glover. And, you know, do with that what you will. But now you get to see him.
I'll probably slight it.
I'll leave that to you, Jay. Now you'll get to take a peek at what he's going to be capable of on the bump. And I'm just, it's whether it's a quick ascension or whether it never really, you know, gets off the ground, still remains to be seen. But it's always intriguing.
I was going to ask Lucas Ursig about this, because he was a position player, drafted as a position player, and now throws 100 off the mound and is not just a thrower, like he's a very trusted piece of that Kansas City Royals bullpen. He's a guy.
He's a freak.
He was a sought after. That's what I'm saying. So I talked to you guys last summer, in doing the MLB Network, MLB Draft Combine coverage, year over year, I see more of these young kids that are two-way players, and they can throw 98 off the bump, but they play center field, they play shortstop, they hit 440 in college, and whatever. So the idea, like, I think it's different because Joey Gallo's a name. He's a guy that had some success, 2 Gold Gloves. Did he have a 40 homer season? He flirted with
2.
one.
He had 2.
2 40 home run seasons.
And
Did he almost hit 50?
38 and a 38 homer season. No, he maxed out at 41 in 2017.
Oh.
So let's call it 3 40 home run seasons,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
2 Gold Gloves, and now he's going to become a pitcher. I think what we're going to see, in the future is like some of these kids because there will be guys that get drafted in the 7th round and they just don't cut it. And then they'll just switch to pitching. And then that's how they make it to the big leagues. Like, I feel like that's going to happen because they're freak athletes that can throw hard.
Well, what you're seeing, Jared, is, and this is what happens when the baseline just raises, right? The base level of arm talent in the game. When we go back throughout all these draft classes that we've been redrafting and such, the players that you're getting from high school and from college, those are athletes that were pitchers and hitters in high school. Maybe some of them were also pitchers and hitters, depending on the extent, in college, but they just didn't have the arm talent as a position player to fall back on an opportunity to pitch when they realized they couldn't hit a professional slider. So Joey Gallo can't hit a professional slider, really has struggled to do so many times. But now maybe his arm talent, he's very well part of that group that has it's just better than it was in years past. So the dudes who were playing shortstop that were on the mound closing for their high school teams, or maybe had an opportunity to do something similar in college, but they find themselves now out of a positional spot. It's like, hey, well, I did throw 96 in high school. It's like, okay, well then you know what we're going to do? We're going to see if we can figure out how to get this 96 moving down the slope effectively, and let's see what sort of viability we have, because you have what every team is after, which is the velocity that creates the margin for error. And in a day and age where more teams are just asking and trying to funnel their pitchers back into the strike zone with the stuff that they're showing up to pro ball with, this is more of a viable option than ever. And it's because the crop of talent is lending itself to that. So to your point about seeing more and more guys come through the draft that are quote unquote two-way players, I will also caution fans to get excited about like the introduction of the two-way player. This is something that's not going to happen consistently. That's why I was very comfortably calling Ohtani the unicorn that he is. I think we all understand that. The Athletics have a player in their farm system right now, Maury, who is a shortstop and a right-handed pitcher up to 95, 96 off the mound. Is that dude going to play shortstop 2 days a week and then start? No, not in my opinion anyway. I mean, that's not what's written down, but I don't see how that happens. So it's just it's a viable option now, I think, more so than ever, because the arm talent is better at the lowest level than it has ever been.
So I didn't mean like, oh, there's a bunch of kids identifying as two-way players coming out of the draft. I meant like this is their parachute, is if it doesn't work as a position player,
and that's why
that they have 96 in their back pocket to switch somewhere down the line to being a pitcher. But I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Dallas. Is the era of like the crafty 91 that can locate with movement, is that going to be an extinction type deal? Because if we do have, if we think about like MLB as an ecosystem, mm-hmm. and there's only so many spots for so many guys, well, there's going to be certain players that have 2 lives to live instead of 1 in their pursuit to get to the big leagues. So before, it would be like, all right, I got drafted as a first baseman. I played 7 years in the minors, couldn't crack it into the big leagues, made it as high as AAA, and that was it for me. Now that guy might say, shit, I might try it on the bump. I got 95. Why not? I pitched in college a little bit, and now that guy has a roster spot, and he was taken as a first baseman. And that's a roster spot that gets taken at the big league level that might block someone else that would have had a chance if it wasn't for a guy switching from position player to pitcher. Like, how does this ecosystem get disrupted the more that this happens?
So I think to answer maybe the first part of your question, because it kind of sounds like a two-part question, is there a place in this game still for a dude who pitched like I did? And my answer to that is yes. Look no farther than a dude by the name of TJ McFarland in the Athletics bullpen. Left-hander who basically reinvented himself, comes up with fucking 18 to 20 plus inches of movement going both directions with a sinker and a slider. And that guy not only survives, but thrives in the big leagues. Why? Because he is an outlier. This man was in 79 ball games last year, if I remember, for the A's. And you don't just do that on accident. Like, you have to have an idea of how to fly under the radar, which is what he does. That's what I did. So as the average velocity creeps up, the dudes who are on the lower end of that spectrum will, yes, to your point, start to get whittled away, but there will always be the outliers who figure out ways to survive below hitting speed. And those guys will always have a place, especially when you start to face offenses and offensive-minded individuals who are selling out to certain forms of production. Meaning, if guys are in there to take the same 3 swings, regardless of the count, if you have a guy who understands what he's doing with the baseball and can manipulate it and locate it, that's a real strength in the game, especially matched up against guys who are not valuing bat to ball. So if I've got somebody who can continue to repeat like that and is offering a look that these hitters are not used to seeing, you bet your ass that dude can survive. You bet your ass that dude is still valuable. But you just don't want 5 out of the 7-9 arms down there to be looking like that.
So I understand and agree that those guys have value, but are Major League Baseball teams looking at it that way? Or are they just saying, hey, if we got
room for one. We got room for one. That's kind of how they look at it.
We have one spot in our bullpen left, and we have 4 options to look at. One guy throws 98, one guy throws 97, the other guy throws 100. This guy throws 91, and he can locate and move it. Like, who are you giving the lottery ticket to if it's the last spot in your bullpen?
So you just gave me 4 options, and Jared, I'll name an organization without naming an organization. The Lost and Wet Frogs, they will not let players sniff the fucking big leagues if you're not ticking 95 or higher. Like, if it's not 95 plus, we're gonna have a real tough time punching your ticket to the parking lot. You know what I mean? A real tough time. So there's those sorts of theories out there, but the idea is you have a bullpen full of horsepower. So if that's the case and your 4 options all seemingly look alike, because there's a solid chance that 3 out of those 4 options are, you saying, right-handed, 96 plus, what comes with that? Good fastball, probably a slider, right? Okay, so it's really just about the variation of look now that we're able to offer. So if all 3 of those 4 options that you're giving me are sort of right-handed stock cookie cutter dudes, 6'2", 210, throw a 97 with some slider depth, maybe it's a gyro, maybe it's a sweeper, maybe they got a combination of both. What does the rest of my bullpen look like? And if I have an opportunity to create a completely different look, then I need to think about that, because that guy becomes a valuable weapon in changing the pace and altering the looks of what your opponent is seeing. And that's valuable. I mean, you have to look no further than what the Tampa Bay Rays did with
the arms
on the clock.
I think Joey Gallo was a target for mockery because players of that ilk just generally tend to be that way. The analytics community made the 3 true outcomes thing famous, but in terms of fans, those players are maybe loved in hindsight, but more often in the present, they are kind of targets for criticism because nobody likes to really watch strikeouts and walks. They like it more in theory. Adam Dunn received similar. I mean, Adam Dunn was a superior baseball player to Joey Gallo, no question about it. But he received a similar type of treatment generally for the way his game played. But I think it's awesome that these guys these guys whose careers end early enough, instead of just washing out, there are some who have a pathway to pursuing it, even if we just never hear about it again. And I saw that like Sergio Santos is the White Sox AAA manager, who was like, commented on the situation or whatever. And it's a good reminder that like these types of guys who started as one thing and then transitioned to another, Santos starting as an infielder, obviously before becoming, a high level relief pitcher for a brief period of time. They're all over the sport. So I hope it works out. He can pump gas from the outfield.
And not everybody can be Rick Ankiel. And that's why, like, when stuff like this happens, I always want to go back to Rick and what he did, man, because it is, taking a step further, that's why you value Ohtani the way you do, or that I hope you do, is because this game is so incredibly difficult on every front.
I mean, Ohtani's like, obviously we talk about him a lot on this podcast, but Rick Ankiel, in terms of interviews that we executed that I remember vividly, Rick Ankiel is on the inner circle. I mean, it's just an incredibly unique, it's a one-of-a-kind experience. So
in DC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right up there on that stage or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that was before I blacked out.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll never forget that one.
Sounds like it.
Or you will.
Yeah. Yeah, got off on the wrong foot with Roflo.
You guys are okay now, though.
Yeah. We've worked together a bunch.
You're there all the time.
And every time I see him, I apologize. But for anyone who doesn't know, this is the 2018 All-Star Game in DC. And we were doing Barstool Radio at the time. And because, I'm the baseball guy and it's the MLB All-Star Game, they had me on every show, not just our show. And the bartenders were just bringing up frozen vodka Red Bulls for just every 30 minutes. And so it's hot. It was hot out. So I'm sucking these things down. And then by the fourth 2-hour show, I'm trashed. And Roflo was a guest, and this is my first time meeting him. And I forget, I think I was just really passionate about the fact that Mike Trout has never been on the cover of a video game. And I was just like, Roflo, big show guy. What's the deal with Trout up being on the video games? I was like, you want to market baseball? You don't want to put this guy on? What the fuck? And he's just looking at me like, where did my career go wrong that it led me to this point where this is what I'm doing with my life at the MLB All-Star Game? I felt really bad, but at the same time, can you blame me? Maybe you can.
Probably. Yeah, that's how that would go. You would be the one person I think that we would blame.
Yeah. So again, Roflo, I apologize. I had way too many frozen Rodka Ved Bowls.
Rodka Ved Bowls?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It sounds like I could have used some better help.
You're getting there.
Yeah. Which is why, it's great that this show, Baseball is Dead, is actually sponsored by BetterHelp. Yeah. Think about your favorite leaders, mentors, and idols. They don't all have the answers, but they do know when to ask questions or seek support from their community. In a society that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better when we have some support system behind us. Therapy can be a source of support for any area of your life. It's time to shift the focus from doing it all to knowing that we're better when we ask for help. I have therapy today. We have a meeting at 11:30, and then I got to hop off and pop in therapy at noon. Much to discuss, much to discuss in today's session.
You should probably figure out how you're going to get through these next 7 days without baseball, huh?
Yeah, that's going to come up as well.
What voice are you going to do for the session?
Who's actually going to this session would be the question. Do they know who's showing up?
Yeah, Wyatt Earp has an appointment booked for.
If I just sat down in the sesh with my fedora on, she'd be like, "Oh, Earl, good to see ya."
Yeah,
she knows the different personalities.
Who's in the room with us now?
Yep.
Uh,
Very excited to talk some things out today. But the convenience of that is I can go from a podcast to a company meeting to therapy because BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Easily switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/baseball. And that'll get you 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball for 10% off your first month. I'm battling today.
it sounds like it. Sounds like, you know
Yeah,
who's going to be battling? You know who's going to be battling?
Who?
Well, what do you
Who?
got? What do you got for me? You said it sounds like you had something.
No, who's going to be battling? Now I'm curious.
Opposing hitters,
Against?
even more so, because Paul Skenes
Ooh.
back in the lab. Back in
Wait,
the lab again.
After adding 2 pitches?
I mean, it just doesn't feel like it's stopping with this dude.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel like it's stopped. What do you think it says about a guy who at this point in his career already, and we kind of talked to him about this, but has started to evolve the art of tinkering already at this level, to this extent, to this degree?
I mean, I think the McCutcheon interview, shout out to people if they haven't listened to it yet, go and check out the Andrew McCutcheon interview dropped last week.
Yeah.
I think he answered it, actually. I mean, I think he said something about the fact that he's more challenging himself than he is challenging his standing relative to the rest of the league or relative to his opponents that he's facing in the box. Like, that is probably, you know, we've gone on about his maturity, but in terms of like playable maturity that matters in terms of, you know, pitching execution and stuff like that, that has to be a hugely encouraging sign, I would think.
So
And-
it's my understanding, right? Because we did the whole segment a few weeks ago that he was tinkering with 2 new pitches, and it was a sinker and what, a 2-seamer?
No, cutter.
Cutter. Okay, so he has the splinker, which he like discovered by an accident playing catch.
Yep.
And then he wanted a pitch that was in the 90-mile-an-hour range.
Uh-huh.
So that's where he got the sinker, and he didn't break it out until what, yesterday?
What I mean,
In gameplay?
the sinker, the sinker has, well, I mean,
Yeah.
what's the splinker? The splinker's like, go ahead, Jay, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, like, to Jared's point, it appears based on the tracking data that he had not busted out the sinker, not the splinker, but the sinker, in a start until yesterday, Monday. And the way that the data looks and that it's being described subjectively is that it's like half of the splinker. Like, he's trading vertical movement for extra velocity and spin, which is like, because it's like 22 inches of drop and 14.3 inches of horizontal break compared to 30 inches of drop and 14 inches of horizontal break. So, you know,
It
a pretty
sits
massive
perfectly
difference.
between the 4-seam and the splinker.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, I know we broke down already like why he would want to be adding these sorts of pitches to give himself, you know, that sort of movement. But like, it is kind of crazy that, like, I remember him sitting, and people will see this in Slab Lab. I think it was that part, which I guess I'm teasing, but like him talking about him just picking up the ball a few times and, like, you know, seeing what felt comfortable or whatever. And it's just like, all of a sudden he has this pitch, which, you know, may be a complete game changer and that we're getting a taste of for the first time. And like, from a tracking perspective, and I'm obviously coming at this from a little bit of a nerd angle, but like, it may be a legitimate challenge to tell which of his pitches are what, particularly early on, given some of the, as you're saying, this pitch rests in between 2 other pitches that he throws. So like, is it this pitch or is it a slightly different version of one of those other 2 pitches? And it's like, well, that's for somebody else, but it makes him pretty fascinating.
Well, I mean, from what I'm reading, this was an average of 97, right?
Yeah.
So what this also does, and if you start thinking about the cutter, now just think about 3 fastballs. Imagine facing Paul Skenes with only 3 fastballs. That's all he had. But look at what they're doing, right? One is cutting at a very high rate of speed. So let's think about left-handers. How you like your ABs against Paul Skenes? You got a 94 mile an hour splinker. You got a 97 mile an hour sinker. You got a 102 mile an hour four-seam fastball. Those are all 3 different variations. Those pitches head in different directions. One holds plane. I mean, it's a very, very tough at bat to hang in there on. And that's just 3 fastballs.
And I know the counter to this is like, why are you messing with a good thing? Like, isn't the arsenal that he has sufficient to be the best or maybe one of the best players in the league? And yes, that is true. But like for him specifically, his history is that the tinkering led to the splinker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's hard to tell a guy whose tinkering resulted in one of the nastiest pitches that we see in Major League Baseball and a pitch that completely changed his trajectory and where he was going, to stop tinkering and to stop trying to develop new dominant pitches, right?
And if you're absolutely right, Jay. And to take that to another level is, we know how much of a power pitcher he is. He's acknowledged that in our conversation. He acknowledges, again, without giving away a lot, he acknowledges what he thinks he needs to do. Because I ask all these guys this question: what do you need to do to take the game to the next level? How do you need to evolve? And so for him, he talks about, I'd like to get deeper into the games, right? How do you do that? So now let's think about Paul Skenes going 1-0 against the left-hander. Well, now if you want to throw that sinker in there, you got a good opportunity to keep these guys on the ground. It's a pitch that gets you back into account without maybe exposing some of the different ways that you might want to get this guy out later in the game, because that's something he has to learn how to do, because he wants to get deeper into these games. And that's, you have heard me talk about learning how to complete games, and doing that is a learned behavior. This is insight to that learning process. If I fall behind in the count 2-0, 2-1, and I don't want to expose myself, and I don't just want to give them a fastball to time up, what do? I add a little English to it. And now this is a pitch that can get him back in the count. It's a pitch that allows him to not expose things, and it's a pitch that allows him to garner contact, weak contact, once again in a different way. I mean, this is a dude, I mean, correct me on this if I'm wrong, Jay, but you go back to the pitchers last year who threw 130 plus innings. Skenes is like 5th or 7th, I think, on the ground ball rate. So just another way for this dude to either blow your fucking doors off or just get you to tap into something weekly. It's just, the evolution is impressive, and it just continues.
It's pretty crazy. And just to see firsthand how mature he is about all of it and professional he is at 23?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's scary to think how good he will become if he's this locked in and this cerebral about his craft at 23.
Everything that we know about him, everything that we've learned about him, and especially me just trying to do some back channeling, like, this dude has extreme Bobby Witt vibes, meaning like baseball. What do you want to go watch a movie? Yeah. Is there a baseball movie out? Like, baseball. I want to be good at baseball. I want to be the best at what I do. And when you have that kind of talent and that kind of drive, that's where us as baseball fans are the luckiest fans of our sport, because to have those types of talent that just want to get better, our game's in a really good spot.
Yeah. Some injury news before we get the fuck out of here. Spencer Strider punched out 5.
Back.
5 straight, actually. His first start since his surgery. That's great. On the opposite end of the spectrum. Always sucks when, and it always seems to be the Twins, but you've got a special talent who just can't stay healthy. Royce Lewis. It just feels like he's headed down the Byron Buxton path of, please don't let me have a Royce Lewis career wondering what could be, what if. Don't give me that. Don't give me the Grady Sizemore. Don't give me the Byron Buxton. But he will start the season on the injured list.
Royce Lewis has played 152 career games spread across 3 seasons, and he has 33 homers and 104 RBI. So, again, what could he accomplish over a full season? It is. Buxton's the natural comparison, not because of that they're built the same way or the same type of player, but just in terms of the overall tantalizing level of talent. But yeah, the answer may be no.
Which sucks.
Yep, sucks. It absolutely, and it sucks. Straight up, it sucks for Twins fans because to have 2 of the 3 names that you just sort of laid out there be Twins, like don't be this dude, don't be Buxton. It's not like he's a bad dude. He's had terrible injury luck, and for Twins fans to see like what could have been, to have that hope, and then kind of be staring that in the face again, like
Do we know how long they're expecting him to be out for?
No, TBD right now, I think.
No timetable provided by the Twins.
It did not look great.
It's a moderate left hamstring strain.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's probably a 2.
A month.
If we're going on grades
2?
1, 2, and 3, that's probably a 2.
I thought you were going to say 2 months.
I wouldn't expect to see him in April, but what do I know?
Yeah. If you're the Yankees, are you is panic starting to set in?
Why? Because Clay Holmes, the guy that you were trying to turn from a reliever into a starter, is now your opening day starter?
Oh, no. That's he's with the Mets.
Oh, shit. You're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. I did take a collection of screenshots from the Underdog MLB Twitter account because I've got their alerts on, post notifications set to my phone. And they've been tweeting out who the opening day starters are as they get named by their respective teams.
That's why I was looking at, that's why I said Clay Holmes, because I was thinking about your tweet, all these Yankees starters.
Yeah. Yep. Yankees pitchers, because some of them are just, relievers being converted to starters, like a Michael King, who's the opening day starter for the Padres. You've got a Sonny Gray, who just, let's face it, he didn't work out in the Bronx, but he is the opening day starter for the Cardinals. You've got Luis Severino. Remember Sevy?
Sure do. He's starting for the green and gold, bro.
Green and gold opening day starter. Yeah. Clay Holmes, Yankees closer from a year ago, is the opening day starter for the Mets.
Yep, like I just told you.
And if you really wanted to be a dick about it.
No, come on.
If you wanted to be a dick about it, I guess Nathan Eovaldi did pitch for the Yankees at one point, but no one really remembers that. But he will be the opening day starter for the Texas Rangers. So you can make an entire rotation of former Yankees starters that will be opening day starters somewhere in the big leagues this year.
I think it's all an incredible cyclical moment when the Marcus Stroman tweet about where the Yankees were at with their pitching and their starting pitching. This was what, a couple years ago?
Yeah, that was a tweet to me.
And now, look where we're at.
This whole thing with Clark Schmidt, he's scheduled to miss a spring training start. So we don't know if this will. We don't know if this is going to affect the regular season yet.
It's a not bouncing back as well right now sort of thing. So they're just being cautious with it. So
just
TBD.
Hopefully just a little dead arm.
TBD. But we do know Carlos Carrasco has an opt-out on what, the 22nd?
Yeah, I think it's 5 or 6 days before the regular season starts is the collective bargaining agreement rule for guys with his service time or whatever.
That makes sense. So let's just call it the 22nd. He's going to make the rotation over Will Warren. Will Warren's probably going to start the year in AAA. And maybe not if Clark's not ready.
Yeah, Clark's not ready.
And Will's had a good spring too.
Yes, he has. And there are many Yankee fans who are out there saying, well, I feel like Will Warren pitched worthy enough to make the rotation over Carrasco. I see what you did there, Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, look, those decisions are still a little further down the road. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
about a week or so because of but this is the storyline that was going to surround the Yankees, I think, regardless of losing Cole, right? Like, I think this was going to be the question, is what they have lined up on the mound to start ball games. How's that going to hold up? What is that going to look like? And that's just it sucks. It's a tough spot to be after you go and get a Max Fried, right? Because you feel really good about how things are going to go. You feel really good about how things
Best
are starting to
rotation in
shape
the
up.
American League, a lot of people were saying.
And now here it's Max Fried and company.
A bunch of dickheads.
Well, I wasn't going to go that.
Dallas, that's not my opinion. That's just I read that on the internet.
Okay. Well, it's
I'm just saying what the
it's true
people.
if you
I'm
read
saying
it
what
on
the people have been saying. That's not my take.
internet. It's just yeah. For a team that was being sort of vaulted to the top of the postseason leaderboards and the effort that they had put together after missing out on the Soto deal, like it just we are a far cry from that already.
Mm-hmm.
A far cry from that.
And Dallas, you were saying you think they're going to miss the playoffs. That's what you're saying?
I was saying that playoff picture just went from a beautiful Van Gogh to like a second grade finger painting. Like it's a little messier. It's a little blurrier than what it might have been. 'Tis not the starry night you were gazing at.
Shit. Let's look at the playoff odds here on Fangraphs.
Oh, pull it up.
To make the playoffs, the Yankees are at 62.3%.
Okay.
Red Sox next best chances at 56.2% chance. Jake, you think the Sox are making the fucking playoffs this year?
Feels like the year, Jared.
Yeah, it feels like the fucking year, dude. Feels like the year that the Yankees just run out of gas. You know what? I will say that if there's any Yankee fans listening right now that are like, man, what shit luck for us. We made it to the World Series and then all these injuries. We may not even make the playoffs after making it to the World Series. I'll tell you this. Alex Verdugo is still available. Still out there.
What I haven't looked at the projections at all. You guys, it sounds like you guys have the pages up right now.
I got them up right now, Dallas. What do you want to know, brother?
Just the overall win-loss records for teams in the AL East.
Okay. The projected?
Yes,
Yankees,
projected
86 and 76. Is that right? I don't know how they do points. 85.7, 76.3. 80, call it 85 wins for the Red Sox, 77 losses. Orioles 83. It's tight.
I mean, the whole AL is a dogfight. That's kind of like the thing. It's like I could see any of these teams winning between 80 and 92 games. You know what I mean? There's like that applies to like 8 or 9 teams.
I mean, the AL West, like, but it feels like you could just pencil, or you conceivably pencil a lot of those teams in 80 plus wins.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
3 of those teams, could argue 3 or 4 teams in the Central, could argue 4 teams in the East. All could argue that that's part of what the Blue Jays, we view it as a delusion. They're looking at it like, with a break or two, we're absolutely in the thick of this thing because there are no great teams in the AL, and they might be right.
The Dodgers, all right, so I'm looking at the percentage odds to win the World Series. The Yankees, 5.7. The Red Sox, 4.6. And then I'm looking around the rest of the AL. I was like, 4.6? That's the second best chance to win the World Series in the American League. 4.6. Then you go to the National League. The Braves, 15%.
I just pulled this up.
The Phillies, 5.4. The Dodgers have a 23.2% chance to win the World Series.
That's just...
Can I blow your guys' mind for a second, though?
Yeah.
Because I looked this up because I remember earlier in the offseason, like when the Dodgers, where people were like, oh, the season's over, like just give the Dodgers the championship. What are their postseason odds? That is high for most seasons. It is not completely out of the realm of recent history, though. Like the Astros entered the 2018 season at 24% to win the World Series.
Oh, wow. How'd that season work out, though?
Well, they lost.
They
didn't even make it to the World Series.
To
the Red Sox.
The Red Sox, yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Wow. 23.2% chance. But, Jake, the Sox have the second best odds to win the World Series out of the American League teams. Pretty good. I'm excited for this year. We are up against it time-wise. We have 5 minutes remaining on the clock. Jay, hey, do you have some juicy, tasty nugs for us?
I do. The first batch of regular season nugs.
Damn.
I'm so excited to provide these to the people. Rapid fire as always. We'll start with the man who we always start with. Shohei Ohtani is the first player with multiple hits and multiple runs scored in a game at the Tokyo Dome since Ryan Healy on March 21st, 2019, and he's the only NL player to ever do so. The only previous people had been for the A's, Rays, or Mariners. Ohtani is the first Japanese-born player with a regular season run scored at the Tokyo Dome since Hideki Matsui on March 31st, 2004. Shota Imanaga is the first pitcher in baseball history to have a start of exactly 4 innings pitched and no hits allowed in a team's first game of the season. Anywhere, not just at the Tokyo Dome, obviously. He also set a career high with 4 walks. He'd issued 3 walks in the entire month of April last season, spanning his first 5 starts. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's splitter since the start of last September, including the postseason. Batters are 5 for 38, which is a 132 batting average with 18 strikeouts and a 50% whiff rate against the pitch. It was at 47%, I believe, today. Miguel Amaya is the 5th catcher with an RBI at the Tokyo Dome ever, joining Mike Piazza in 2000, Toby Hall in 04, Posada in 04, and Kurt Suzuki in 2012. And he's the first Cubs player with an RBI during a regular season game at the Tokyo Dome since Mark Grace on March 29th, 2000. And then a little Joey Gallo tribute here to end. If this is the end of his offensive portion of his career, he finishes with a 194 batting average for his career. That is tied for the second lowest all time for a player with at least 3,000 career plate appearances, tied with Jeff Mathis and ahead of only Bill Bergen, who hit 170 as a catcher during the beginning of the 1900s. If you want to pay tribute to Bill Bergen, he is apparently buried at St. John's Cemetery in Worcester, Massachusetts. So could be an interesting pilgrimage. And one more for Joey Gallo. He is the only player in baseball history to have a season with 200 strikeouts, 100 walks, and a Gold Glove award.
Wow.
Never, ever been done.
Damn.
Never will be
Till
repeated
Gallo
either.
showed up.
Maybe
I will,
not.
I'm gonna add on to Jay Hayes' pile o' nugs by taking a nug off of our dear friend Sarah Langs' hot stove and giving that to you as well, because this was interesting. You guys know how much I love me some Will Smith. Will Smith, according to Sarah Langs and her help over at Elias Sports, Will Smith has now had a game reaching base safely 4+ times in Japan, Canada, South Korea, and the United States. That makes him the second player with a game reaching base safely 4+ times in 4 countries/territories, joining the great Gary Sheffield, who did that in the United States, in Japan, in Canada, and Puerto Rico. So shout out Langs. Great shit as always. And I will start the final thoughts because I know we're getting out of here. I had one of the coolest experiences that I've had probably in my baseball life. It's at the very tip top, man. I got to do our minor league prospect breakout game against the San Diego Padres. Got to saw some of their top tier talent. Ethan Salas behind the plate, fucking just a magician, catch and throw. The exchange was phenomenal. Good bat. But I had the opportunity to share a dugout in a uniform with Dave Stewart, Mark McGuire, and Carney Lansford. And like as an A's fan, as a A's player, that was magical. And I said, I'm going to have that picture blown up. And then I said, no, fuck it. That I'm just going to have that's going to wallpaper my house with that. Like it's It was just such a cool moment for me. And I also got to reconnect with Braves fans of yesteryear will know this name, a left-handed pitcher by the name of John Foster. Why does that matter? Because Bobby Cox was once quoted as saying, John Foster is sort of like having a Lamborghini in the garage. You know exactly what it can do. You're just really excited to take it out and play with it. But he was the left-handed gold standard coming out of my high school, Amos Alonzo Stagg in Stockton, California. If you were left-handed, there were 2 dudes on your wall. There were 2 dudes on the map. It was everyday Eddie Gordado, and it was John Foster. And John Foster now works with the Oakland Athletics as one of the rehab instructors. And to walk in to my home in Phoenix, Arizona, or in Mesa, Arizona, at our facility and see the left-hander who I modeled my game after, wanted to be like in high school, was just a fucking surreal moment. I mean, this dude was throwing me around the Amblers Club swimming pool when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, went to the same high school. I wanted to be John Foster. And I got to hook up with him and see him full circle, man. Just the game of baseball just continues to bless me with cool shit like that. So that was really fun.
All right, we got to go. Love you guys. We'll be back on Thursday with more Baseball is Dead. We'll see you there.
Wow.